Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, but I'm back, and today I bring a how I make my everyday TikTok edits tutorial, kind of updated from like the first ever video I posted quite a while back. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you the process. Just as a heads up, this is not a beginner-friendly tutorial. It's kind of more of an intermediate one, so I won't be going over like all the key basics of After Effects. You kind of just have to know some of the basics, but yeah, just a heads up. So let's get started. The first thing that I do is I download my scene pack and I put it into iMovie. Yes, I use iMovie. iMovie is incredibly underrated, and that's where I compose like the base of all my edits. It doesn't need to render out every single frame. It just like has the scene pack ready to go, so you don't need to like wait for it to render or anything, and it's perfect for composing audios with your clips. Next thing I'm going to do is find an audio. I selected this audio, and what I do is I download it directly from YouTube. I just find that the audio quality is better, and also having the full soundtrack instead of whatever like short one that you'd get from TikTok or something. This is just easier because it allows you to have more freedom with your audio editing. Anyways, I use this YouTube to MP3 converter and I just download it. It's pretty easy. The next thing that I do is I drag it into iMovie, and then as you can see now I have my scene pack and my audio. Then I start cutting the audio to where I want it to start. I select my intro clip. That's kind of my style of TikTok edits. I kind of have an intro of the character or of a scene, and then it transitions into the edit. Here's where I really like iMovie. You can play around with the audio and edit it very easily, so I just speed up most of my audios to avoid copyright. Also, it's like TikTok really likes fast videos, so speeding up an audio generally helps. What I love about iMovie is that you can see the audio waves, so it's just really convenient and easy to know where the beats are, and then so I just cut it to the beat and then I extended it. The next thing I did was I cut kind of the beginning part of the audio where the intro is playing, and then I add this audio effect called muffled. This just helps reduce sort of the main sounds of the audio so that the dialogue from this clip itself can actually be heard, because one of my pet peeves is when you can't hear the characters speaking. It's just really annoying, so I like to add this muffle effect so that this way the music is playing but you can hear the characters. After I finish up the intro and editing the audio, the next thing that I do is I cut the clips from the scene pack. So first I count the beats. This song, this edit audio that I'm using has 10 beats, so I'm going to cut out around 10 clips. I will cut out more sometimes in case some of the clips that I selected don't work out in terms of like slow motion wise, but yeah, that's basically what I do next. So after I've cut out all my clips, the next thing that I'm going to do is export this iMovie project as one file. And here are my settings. I keep it at 1080 because we're going to put it in TOPAZ, or at least I put it in TOPAZ later, and it doesn't render very well with 4K files, so I keep it at 1080, regardless of the quality of the original scene pack. And then I keep the quality at high and keep the compress at better quality, and then I export it. This step is optional, but if you have TOPAZ AI, this is where I do it. I do it before I put it in After Effects. I just find that it looks better. Then import the file you just created in iMovie, and then here are my settings. I use Artemis High Quality, and then I set the constant rate factor to 20, and I basically just start processing it. It takes about 2 minutes. It's pretty easy. Then I drag it into After Effects, I duplicate the layers, I turn the sound off on the top and visuals off on the bottom. This just separates things and keeps it neat. And then here are my composition settings. I like to keep it as a square, so it's 1080. I set the frame rate to 60, and then I set the preview to quarter, and then I scale it down to 50 because it's a 4K file and we're making it in a 1080 composition. So setting our composition settings to 60 frames per second makes it have a really smooth look. And then so you want to double click the frame blending choice on the top layer. This just adds frames in between the original file so that it looks like it's 60 frames per second. This gives your edit a very smooth looking quality thing. Yeah, that's my secret, I guess. Then I start cutting and doing whatever. I start with my intro. The thing with frame blending is that it tries to blend shots that aren't correlated at all because it's trying to add clip frames in it, so that it gives this weird glitchy look. So how you can fix that is that you cut the parts where it has that weird glitch happening, and then you unframe blend it. Here you can see me split the unframe blended portion because kind of halfway in that clip that we split, it changes to the other scene. So basically I have to pair those two things that I have currently highlighted and move them as one clip, and then like the bottom half together as their own, if that makes sense. After that, I pre-composed the clips we just did for our intro. Then I added this fade in effect. It's basically just my opacity settings. I just keyframed it to fade in, and then I have another like preset that I've made to make it fade out. I've just graphed these so that they're quicker towards the end. Yeah, you can play around with these yourself and figure out what looks best for you. Then I start the official edit. So I cut out the clips that we made in iMovie, and then I pre-compose specific clips, and then I add my own preset. Basically what it has is TWIXTOR, the Sapphire plugin Blur Directional, though After Effects already has its built-in one. Then I have exposure, scale, and opacity, as you can see. I've already kind of worked out my own preset. I have the TWIXTOR going in fast, slowing down, then slowing down, going fast at the end. Here are my blur directional settings. I set the angle to 90, it starts at 700, stops at 0, and then here's my graph. Here's what it looks like. My exposure is set at 1.5 at the start, and then at the end it goes to 0. My scale starts at 100, then goes to 115, and then I just have my opacity go down to 35 at the end. And here's what my graph looks like. With all these settings, here's what it looks like. Then what I do is I bring down the waveform on the bottom layer. I just clicked up L twice, and then I drag the last couple keyframes in to match the beat, where the beat drops, so that we can go on to the next clip. And ta-da, this is what it looks like. Then I basically just copy and paste these settings that I've worked with, and then I copy and paste it to the other clips that we're editing. Just the only difference is like how long the beat is, but I just do that waveform trick that I did for the other clip, and then yeah, that's basically it. Another tip is to use the anchor point to change where it's scaling to. For this clip, he was on the floor, so I wanted the anchor point to be closer to the bottom, so that's what I did. Then I just repeated this step 8 more times. Now that I've finished that, I select all the clip layers and then I pre-compose them. After that, I add my soft shake settings. These are settings that I made with the Sapphire plugin with their shake effect, and then here are my X, Y, and Z settings, and then my overall composition settings. I like using shake effects because it kind of just lets the edit keep flowing and moving. Then I scale my whole layer to 101. This just helps remove the sharpened edge borders for when I add my coloring. You can see me going into an old project file. This is just so I can use my color settings and my watermark settings without redoing them every time. And then here's a text layer that I have. It's just Arial font with some turbulence settings that are mine that I added to the clip. I basically like to do subtitles with my edits so that the viewers can see what they're talking about, because even though I muffle the audio, sometimes it's not clear on what they're saying. This is just one of my style things. And then basically I just start writing out their dialogue. When I finish the dialogue, I'm basically done with my edit because I have my coloring, my watermark, and my dialogue and the edit going on. So then after that, I export it. Some people add it to Media Encoder, but I like to just add it to Render Queue. I just feel like it preserves the quality better for some reason. And yeah, I just let it render out like this. And guess what? We're going back to iMovie. So after it's rendered out, I drag it back into iMovie, and this is what it looks like. I also like putting it in iMovie because I always make mistakes. So when I finish rendering the edit, as you can see now, I just realized that my subtitles were too fast for one part. So basically I just, I re-render it, just that specific part though, because I can put it back together in iMovie. And after I finally finish up in iMovie, then I export it. And basically I just keep the 1080 settings, but now as you can see it's 60 frames per second. I keep all the other settings, and then when I'm done exporting, I just airdrop it to my phone. You could also just email it to yourself if you don't have Apple products, I guess. But yeah, this is how I make my edits. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, or at least understood it. It's been a while. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and thanks for watching.